I was driving to my parents this weekend with my children, and I was on 360, and I looked over at the fire department, and I saw military uniforms with police and with... no. That was about a month ago that I saw the military and the police. This was out by Lake Travis this weekend. I saw the... Again, I'm just having a flashback to this. I saw the fire department, military, and police all running around doing some hazmat drill, and I didn't have time to pull over and even look at it because I had that limited time with my family. But that's just an example how it's just going on everywhere. And it seems reasonable to have the military training with police. But then they always have it first, oh, we're doing hazmat drills. And then next, we're going to help you get the guns. And by the way, I have from 1998 the internal Army documents from Fort Hood that are in my film Police State 2: The Takeover, where they admit we are here for bomb disposal and for anti-firearms operations. So this has been going on quietly in the background. Now it's coming to the fore because they know it's almost impossible to defeat something that slowly infiltrates, that slowly takes over. All right, Wayne Madsen of Wayne Madsen Report is our guest. Wayne's always given us really good intel. And we just heard a military man say that he's being deployed from Virginia, regular Army, down to the Gulf. And we now see the Washington Post talking about 20 million evacuated. Wayne Madsen, from your intelligence agency sources in D.C. and from your sources there at the press club, what's the inside scoop?
Well, I reported back in May that there were plans to evacuate millions of people. The first people to be evacuated would be those who have respiratory problems. I know several who are now seeing BP doctors who are saying there's a number of people coming into these BP medical facilities complaining of respiratory ailments, and some have been diagnosed with what's known as chemical pneumonia. I know one person who actually has been diagnosed with that by BP, and now people's pets are beginning to suffer from the same ailment. So we have basically BP engaged in a huge PR operation. They've hired every big-time PR firm here in Washington, and I'm surprised that the Washington Post is even hinting at evacuations, because one of the problems we're seeing with the press is that their editors are contacting their legal departments because these companies that own the media may have vested interests with BP or Halliburton or these other companies involved in this oil disaster, and I think that's a problem. And that's why next week I'm going to the Gulf, because I want to see for myself what's going on down there. There's been reports of journalists and photojournalists being arrested, so I'm going down there. I'll be in Plaquemine Parish. I'll go over to Alabama, Mississippi, and Pensacola Beach to see firsthand what's going on, and I will document with photos and interviews and whatnot what I find out.
Wayne, expanding on that, because you did, over a month and a half ago, you were one of the first people that I saw start talking about how they were going to evacuate the Gulf. I want to flesh that out and talk more about what your sources there in D.C. are telling you, but specifically, all the evidence I have says that this was deliberately blown, that they gave orders to Anadarko and Halliburton that they knew would cause the well to come in early and to spill, and that it is a pretext to sell the carbon tax that BP and Enron founded with Al Gore back in the mid-1990s because their whole program is stalled, and it was meant to be a political distraction for the upcoming attack on Iran. And now you see 70-plus, almost 80 days, it'll be 80 days tomorrow, of them blocking any type of aid or relief, or the skimmer ships or the counties or the cities putting up berms or jetties. That's still ongoing. And so from every angle I look at this, this is a huge diversion. It doesn't matter if it destroys Obama politically. The establishment had already made the decision that his messianic image had been destroyed, and so they were going to basically blame everything on him. But give us your take on that.
Well, what I have a story up today. The company that was hired by BP to do the third-party, what's called mud logging. This is where they analyze all the sediment and rock material incrementally coming up, and this was the deepest borehole ever sunk. This was at 35,055 feet. They knew that what kind of oil was down there. I agree that this was to tide the U.S. over in the event of a war with Iran. We would have enough oil to last this country for up to 8 months. And I think it was a political decision to keep drilling. The Schlumberger engineers said, look, this thing is getting ready to go. There's an internal Schlumberger document that shows that their crew was out there and left that platform, the Deepwater Horizon, a little after 9 o'clock in the morning, and that of course, the explosion was later on that evening. So we know this from documented evidence that...
Well, yeah, we have the Coast Guard report, but I mean, we even see conflicting how it was a 30,000-foot well or it was 18,000 feet well. We've seen a lot of different conflicting information.
Well, you know, it's odd. One of the sources that I'm getting is from the FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Whoever thought after what they did with Katrina that they would be, revealing inside information, but they have been bypassed by the Coast Guard and BP. FEMA, they're rice bowl protectors. They are part of the Department of Homeland Security, but there are many people there who are absolutely upset that they're not being included in the first of all, the reaction to the disaster itself, and all these operations to mitigate the effects of the disaster.
Well, yeah, where does BP? I mean, where does BP get the authority to tell reporters they can't videotape? And now we have the Coast Guard saying federal felonies if you even try to videotape. So they are acting very suspicious.
Oh, yeah. Well, the authority comes from President Obama. I mean, he put this guy, Thad Allen, the commandant of the Coast Guard, in charge as the National Incident Commander. His relationship with BP is very close. I heard a rumor that even before the disaster, he was going to get a job with BP after he retired. Now, he's still, he's Obama's Brownie, except I think he's more insidious. Brownie was a total incompetent. Thad Allen knows exactly what he's doing by shilling for BP. He's trying to limit their exposure and basically his Coast Guard personnel and BP's hired security people, which are a lot of them are Wackenhut, and I also reported that some of the people chasing people away from the beaches are off-duty Alabama troopers in that state. So we have basically BP is running the show. And I think this can be laid right to the doorstep of the White House. The media, I had a report up yesterday that in the Pensacola area, Mediacom, the cable provider, has blocked out the 5:30 local newscasts of the ABC and CBS affiliate because they're doing a lot of in-depth reporting, and also blocking out the 6 p.m. national CBS and ABC news reports from the people in Pensacola. People are getting a black screen when they try to tune into the local affiliates and the national networks. And I think this goes to show the extent of the censorship going on as far as this oil disaster.
Wayne Madsen, I think they have a name for this. This is called martial law, full spectrum dominance. And to have CNN reporting the First Amendment is now dead in the Gulf, and to have BP up to 10 miles in, having police arresting reporters that just ask questions, that's been on the news. I mean, this is martial law in America. And the big issue here is what happens when that 150 million plus gallons of oil now being driven towards the shore by the tropical storms forming in the Gulf. What happens when a lot of that comes ashore? We know there's already respiratory problems. We know 51 is the average life expectancy for Exxon Valdez workers from the off-gassing and toxins. We know the dispersants are much worse than the oil itself. We know they're so deadly they even eat the hulls of boats, and BP isn't allowing their workers to wear respirators. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Well, it is, absolutely. It's probably the worst it's in many respects because it's more widespread than Katrina. It's affecting now every every Gulf state, of course. And we every time there's a tar ball or a tar patty, whatever they call these things that wash up, the initial response is, well, it's from a passing ship. We've seen this time and time again with the Florida Keys, the dry Tortugas, now the Texas beaches. And this is all part of an information, a Pentagon-grade influence operation, information warfare, if you will, to limit the news that's coming out of the Gulf. And, it's just a shame that there's not more national media descending on the Gulf. I'm going to do it next week. I don't care if they arrest me or not. That's we've got the First Amendment. I haven't heard that Mr. Obama has abrogated it yet, but he doesn't have the authority to do that.
Well, they're saying in the Associated Press and the San Francisco Chronicle that it's a federal felony, punishable by a decade in jail if you videotape any of their operations or try to talk to anyone. And so this is the new gulag. Where'd Wayne Madsen go? Well, he tried to be a reporter, and you don't do that in the new Soviet America. I want to talk to you about your sources, your take on what's going to happen when that oil starts really coming ashore, because we've only seen the tip of the iceberg.